Roll the notes.
Everybody to Andertons TV. Thank you for joining us. Now, I've got a special guest today.
Hello.
You may recognise Nick Jennison because he is a fellow tuber. And I've seen...
He's a tuber?
Yes, I've seen...
As in,
yes, as in the enormous brass instrument. And I've bumped into Nick at NAMM shows and seen his face on YouTube, and we've always given it that sort of, fellow YouTuber, hello.
Yeah.
And, but then the other day, about maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, Victory launched the V1 pedals, and they did this brilliant little 90-second social clip of going from playing Cleany blues stuff on the Duchess pedal through to Brian May stuff, and then Guthrie stuff, and then finishing off with Van Halen-y kind of stuff, whatever. All done in this really cool, seamless take. And I phoned Dan from Victory up, the marketing guy, and I'm like, who did you get to play that? And he's like, seriously, Lee, I've taken about 25 phone calls this morning asking the same thing. Never happened before. And he said, it's Nick. So I'm like,
only
shit, the bed, So that was it, really. I thought, I need to get this guy to come down to Andertons. Obviously, you're not local, are you?
No, as you can probably tell from the accent. For American viewers, we have many accents in the UK, and mine is one from, which way's north? That way? I don't know, who knows?
Who knows?
About
that
6 hours that way in the sky.
Yes. Doesn't that always freak you out? If you go to California, roughly-ish the same length as Andertons, and go, how different do they speak in the north of California to the south? It's not that different, right?
Yeah.
You come to the UK, you just sort of go 50 miles in any one direction, and it's like you've met a different species of people.
It's quite something.
Anyway, so
yes. Yeah, my house is closer to Pete's old house than it is to here. So there's a sea in the way.
Oh, Pete's old house in Denmark.
Pete's old house in Denmark, yeah. But,
right. So look, welcome to Andertons.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I thought we'd do two things in this video. One is a sort of a get to know you, talk about life and the bands you've been involved with, and the Guitar Interactive magazine, and just general stuff. And then, as we've started to do with several of our guests recently, we are going to put you in a situation where you're driving to the gig. You've had to drive through Guildford. You've just hit Guildford. Bit of black ice on the road, maybe a patch of oil, I don't know. Transit van spun round, wallop into straight set, all your gear's fallen out the back of the car, articulated lorries driven over it, and you've got 10 minutes to run into Andertons to spend £1,000 on gear to get you through the gig that night.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for giving me £1,000 on gear. That's great.
You're very welcome.
This is all mine now, right?
And a whiplash collar. You need one of those as well.
That's it, yeah. Lee, I'm really sore. Can I have £1,000? Because that's how that works. Okay. So, potted history of me, I guess.
You know what? We could embellish that story. The reason you got £1,000 is because it was an Andertons delivery driver that basically forced you into the crash.
Here's £1,000.
Uninsured.
Shut
and
up.
we just had to give you £1,000.
Don't tell anybody. Go away. It's like, Lee, I'm really sore. My neck hurts. I'm definitely not making this up. It's
claims direct. Here we are.
Give me some gear.
Anyway,
we'll be cool.
Look, honestly, man, you're a smoking hot guitar player.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
And I know you've been doing this for a while, but give us what's the Nick Jennison potted history?
Okay, so hi, my name's Nick. I'm a guitar player from the northeast of England. I currently am the lead contributor at Guitar Interactive magazine and the new education platform, GI Plus, which is it's basically our attempt to take the lesson content that we do at GI, but make it a little less scattergun, so you don't have to dig through.
Right.
We're up to 92 issues now.
Cool.
So, and in the process, we get to make courses based on what our readers like, etc. You guys know about all that stuff. I also play guitar in a bunch of bands. Most notably at the moment is a British heavy metal band called Blitzkrieg, who you may know from the Metallica song, which is, I say Metallica song, it's a Blitzkrieg song, but people know it as the Metallica song. I knew it as the Metallica song, but it's the one that goes, I better not fuck this up now, actually. The one that goes... That business.
We remember that one. We recognise that.
I remember that one from being a young Nick getting a copy of Garage Inc. from Woolworths.
Crikey, you could barely have been born when that came out, could you?
Garage Inc. came out. Well, Blitzkrieg came out in 1981. I was born in 1984. But like Garage Inc., that was in my formative years when I was discovering this heavy band from America with the guy that goes, yeah! And this came out. That was the new album.
Right.
And I was like, great, this is a new album. loads of songs in there that led me to bands like silly stuff. Like they did a cover of Tuesday's Gone by Lynyrd Skynyrd,
Right.
and it was like that was my introduction to Skynyrd. And my introduction to Blitzkrieg was the song Blitzkrieg, which I thought was class. Later found out that there are bands originally from Leicester, but ostensibly from the Northeast. And lo and behold, I'm now playing guitar for Blitzkrieg. I'm in the production seat for the new album, which will be coming very soon. There's a single available on Spotify called I Am His Voice.
With some
etc.
incredible guitar playing on it, I
Lots
should say.
of notes.
Yes.
On top of that, so I guess... I also teach... a bunch of subjects, but primarily guitar, some vocals, some production, a little bit of bass at the Northern Academy of Music Education, which is a new music university that's opened up in Sunderland. It's run by Dan Donnelly from the Levelers, formerly of the Wonder Stuff, etc. Barry Hyde from the Future Heads, Peter from Field Music. So
cool.
It's a modern music industries course by musicians, for musicians. Everybody says that, but it actually is. Going back, I guess, a little bit in time, so I started playing guitar when I got in trouble in French, I think it was, in like middle school. I will say, okay, so the age I'm at, there was a strange period in British music history. We were talking about this off camera, where there wasn't really guitar music. It didn't really exist. It was immediately pre-Oasis, when everything in the charts was too unlimited,
Yes.
that sort of thing. And I remember having a conversation about a week before I started playing guitar with a girl in my form class who I didn't really realize what was going on at the time, but she came up and was like, "Oh, hi, what music do you like?" And I remember very vividly saying, "I don't like music." It was weird because all I'd heard was anyway, fast forward to going playing a guitar in my friend's dad's like shed or something, I think. Immediately fell in love with it. It became a thing for me. It was like, you know, like a lot of kids are, you find a thing that you're good at. You go from being this kid who's like, don't really have a thing, just, you know, to guitar is my thing. I think I have that maybe that obsessive kind of personality quirk that makes me want to be good at the thing. Anyway, long story long, this led to me just gigging around the Northeast. I've done a bunch of session work, played on some albums in Japan. Never been to Japan, but I've played on some top 20 albums in Japan, played on some video game soundtracks. Notably, we've done some stuff for the Halo franchise, for the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing.
Of course.
Played some shred guitar for that. That was good fun. Contra, we've done. I also taught guitar as part of the Yamaha music school system for a long time, which has actually produced an unbelievable amount of guys who are doing the guitar YouTube thing right now. So Digital John is a former Yamaha guy.
Is he?
Yeah, for sure. Digital John. Tom Quayle is a Yamaha guy. Stu Shields is a Yamaha guy. Jonathan Graham, who's the editor of Guitar Interactive magazine, is a Yamaha guy. It's a weird little club.
Yeah.
You know, and we all taught this obscure Japanese method of teaching guitar, which I will say is wicked. It actually works really, really well.
Fair enough.
Taught in universities for a long time, came on board. Tom Quayle was good enough to give me a call to come and do some stuff for Lick Library, which was cool. That quickly became Guitar Interactive as my sole focus because I love gear. Off the back of that, being lucky enough to become a Paul Reed Smith artist, a Fishman Fluence artist, you'll see on here. That's two things that I love. And most notably, as you mentioned, a Victory artist.
Well, that's the segue I was looking for.
The Victory thing, just getting onto that. So that came about of sharing a bill with a friend of mine, Dale. Dale, how you doing? Great guitar player. Dale had a V100. Which was one of the original hardware guys.
God, 10 years ago, absolutely.
And I remember hearing it and going, that sounds loads better than my Mesa. I bet it feels terrible. I bet it doesn't do the magic trick. And I plugged into it at like whisper volume, and I'm like, oh, it does the magic trick. Like, right. I bet it doesn't do it when you turn it up, and I'm like, oh, it still does the magic trick, but it's not hurting people. Like, right, I need to get on this. So
I had no idea that you've been playing those amps for that long, because that's amazing.
I mean, I didn't have a V100, so I came on board as an artist in 2018.
Yeah.
Maybe 2019, I can't quite remember. And I went, the first time I'd actually played the Victory range was on the NAMP floor. Martin was good enough to guide me through them, and we A-B'd them. The one that did it for me was the Super Kraken.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people appreciate how versatile that amp is. To me, it's the most versatile amp in the range. I think. It sounds great, but you can play with tons of gain and hear all the notes. And, you know, I mean, geez, write that on my tombstone. Yeah.
In terms of, I mean, have you got a bit of a pedal infatuation, or are you tending to just sort of, you know, straight into the amp and that's the sound? Or?
I have a pedal infatuation, but I don't use drive pedals.
Right, so all from the amp and then...
Fuzzes, I have... so I have a studio board under my desk, which has, I don't know, 12 fuzz pedals.
Wow.
I have the Strifector, I have the H9, I've got a bunch of oddball pedals.
Yeah.
The one can't live without pedal. So my live rig is a quad Cortex these days because you have to fly.
Yeah.
But the one I can't live without pedal is it's called a Little Odell, and it's a little octopus, and it's a Dan Electro Green Ringer clone, which is the awful octave that's totally unpredictable, and I have to have it. So that's on the board. I have about 3 or 4 of those, and there's no switches on it. It's just it's just a box with a light, and the light is optional. It's just so I know it works. But drive pedals, I don't really do the drive pedal thing. Instead, I have this chain of Victory V4 preamps.
Yeah. Oh,
so I have the jack. Mine's a Countess. I've had it before it was pre-jack, but it's the same thing. So I have the jack, I have the copper, I have the Super Kraken, I have the V4 Duchess, the original V4 Duchess, which is rigged in switching to go into the back of the Super Kraken as well. So I kind of have access to the gamut of Victory tones. So if I need a Marshally tone, and I'm big into different amp tones. I love different amp sounds for different jobs, but it's always amp sounds for me, which is where this gig and rig business is going to be troublesome.
Now, I will put links below in the description of this video about how you can find out more about Nick and some of the bands he's in and the tuition stuff. But for the rest of this video, we are now back into this. We've run into Andertons, £1,000 of, you know, please don't, you know, report me to the police.
Skip, I've lost my gear.
Yeah, maybe that's a better one. Maybe it's Andertons Airways has lost your baggage. So we quick, and we obviously we discussed this prior to you coming down, and Nick sent me a list yesterday, basically going, this is what I would want, Lee, and I was like, really?
Are you sure?
No one's gone for that yet, but I'm afraid we're going to have to put your beautiful PRS guitar away because you cannot have that for under £1,000.
I did think about this. I was like, I'm a PRS artist. Can I just go and pick one off the wall? I don't think it works that way.
Sadly not.
No.
I mean, if you could do it with an under £1,000,
no.
but you're going to have about £200 left to basically put
Gavin's
everything
not picking
together.
his phone up.
No.
He's like, I don't believe you.
So that's going to have to go away. You picked this amplifier, which is a Line 6 Catalyst.
I have my reasons.
Yes, you've picked some pedals, and you've picked 2 guitars, which actually will. So let's have a quick intermission, and we'll grab those 2 guitars. We have set this up now.
We're
Nick,
taking chances here.
You've got 2 guitars that you sort of. Is the general consensus that one's a bit cheaper and we'll let you have more pedals, one's a bit dearer and you'll have to sacrifice some pedals, so you're kind of we'll see where we go.
Yeah, that is 100% it.
The controversial, it's not controversial at all, but it's interesting. We've had in these demos so far, we've had 2 guys go for the Marshall Origin 20 who just wanted spend the bulk of the money on the amplifier and then put together a guitar and some pedals with the changes. We've had Digital John go with a multi-effects unit into an FRFR cab, which is controversial as well.
I think that's a good shout, by the way. I think that's a great call.
Yeah, you've spent now the least money on the amplifier of anybody yet, and probably the most money, particularly if you pick the Pacifica, the most money on the guitar. So that's interesting as to why did you do that? And you've got a selection of pedals here. So come on, tell me about why you think this is your gigging rig for under £1,000.
Okay, so first things first, in case you're wondering, all of this stuff, I can't have all of this stuff for under £1,000. We have 2 options, depending upon which of the 2 guitars we bond with. So this is a guitar, because I taught for Yamaha for a long time, I've played this, not this exact guitar, but this model of guitar loads. It's a known quantity. So I know this guitar is going to work. It's too expensive for me to get all the noises that I want.
How much is this?
This is $329, I want to say.
Okay, so it's not expensive,
not.
But I see what you mean.
But I want lots of noises because I use lots of sounds in all of my bands, even Blitzkrieg. Lots of noises. And I have certain requirements that I need for a gigging amp. So gigging amp being the big deal. So that's the reason I went for the Catalyst. And you may go, that doesn't follow.
No,
gigging amp Catalyst. Okay, and it's the Catalyst 60, which is the small one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you why we've done that first. So the Catalyst 60 is set up. It's a 2-channel amp. We've set it up as 2 clean channels. And you may go, well, why 2 clean channels? And it's the same clean channel.
Yeah.
One is louder. So we have 2 clean channels. One is louder, and I've taken a bit of presence off.
Yeah, slightly
on the other one.
EQ'd differently, aren't they?
It's a solo boost. So if I'm gigging and I don't have my gear, I can almost guarantee, because pretty much every gig I do, I'm not using my own sound engineer. So people don't know when to boost the solos. So I have to boost my own solos. I could get a pedal and I could futz around with effects loops. That would involve delay pedals. It would involve an amp that would accommodate... We're running out of money for tones at this point. So this amp, it's clean, nothing on it, and then it's the same again, only loud. That's it, right? So it's my solo boost. It's the 60 watt, but if it's not loud enough, we think it'll be loud enough, but if it's not loud enough, it has an XLR DI out. Now, the XLR DI out's a big deal, because if you have a jack-to-jack DI out, your sound engineer won't use it. They'll go, nope, not using that. Whereas, if you have an XLR DI out, they'll go, oh yeah, I can plug that in, it's good to go. So that was one of the reasons I chose this over a Katana. The other one is this currently on the Andertons website comes with a foot switch, which the Katana doesn't. So the Katana has all the effects in it. It would do all the things that this amp is going to do, but I couldn't do it with my feet, which makes it useless for me for a gigging amp. I need to be able to switch channels. It also has delay and reverb built in. The reverb is just, if I'm in a dead room, I'll turn a bit of reverb on. The delay is a must-have. You've got to have delay.
So the reverb we've got as an on all the time effect, and the delay is on the foot switch.
Yeah, delay's on the foot switch.
Okay.
So we have clean. I can't remember which clean this is. This might be the. Yeah, so this is the rhythm clean. So this is. Doesn't sound much different to the. To the lead clean. There's a little more mid push in this one, and it's a hint louder. This will become much more apparent when we start throwing the drive pedals on. So that's my solo boost. And then I have delay. It's not a ton of delay, but it's enough. So if I want a solo, I can do that. If I want some ambient cleans, I can kick the delay on. I'm hoping I'm going to like the cheaper guitar so I can afford a Sky Surfer to do the ambient thing. If I can't, I can probably get away without it. Probably.
So on the pedals, which are the sort of either ors, or what's the core one? What's the one that you know?
Okay. The Kraken is a must-have.
So that's a must-have.
Yeah.
So that's 199 pounds, 249. So we're at 449, and we're at roughly-ish probably not much, around about the 800 mark.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of change for pedals. So what I would want, I could have my first choice of 2 drive pedals. So I'm trying to emulate the Super Kraken workflow here. So the Super Kraken has 3 channels.
Yeah.
It has a clean channel, a British gain channel, and an American gain channel. The American gain channel is the riff and the lead sound. So that's this guy. The clean sound's taken care of. It's a fine clean sound. It sounds okay. This is the in-between sound.
So you could have this, right? You could have that guitar, these 2 pedals, and this amplifier.
But I want this.
But you want this.
I want this. So that means if I want this guitar and I want this, I can't have this.
Which is why this is here,
Which is why this is here. So it's this will do the trick for the Plexi sound, the in-between gain sound. I can have this guitar, which is a known quantity. However, if it doesn't do the trick and I just gotta have the Sheriff, then this is the guitar.
Well, let's show everybody what is your with this pedal. Let's do your kind of like your essentials.
Okay.
So we're hoping this guitar. We're hoping to stick with this guitar. So wouldn't we say that? We haven't tried the Squier yet.
We'll see.
Okay, so 311, P90 at the neck, regular humbucker at the bridge, no trem. Oh, splits as well. Great. Yep. Okay, let's hear maybe.
Ignore everything you can use the Kraken this way.
All right, so you can use these 2 pedals, this amplifier. Show us your. Let's get some sounds.
Let's do the palette of tones. Okay, so if we have a dry clean. There's still a bit of reverb on, but that's the clean sound, and it gives me P90 clean. Which is really pretty. I can kick the delay on. which for most gigs is going to be enough for the ambient thing. If I had a volume pedal, I'd do the swells thing, but we can get that with the delay. But if I have the Sky Surfer and the delay, we can pop that on.
So you've got your shimmer vibe going on
Pretty
here,
much.
haven't you? Yeah.
So let's get that a little darker, and let's maybe get a bit more of it in the mix. We're on Hall, but play it even. Which is a great sound. That's lovely.
Nothing wrong with that?
Yeah, I'm into that. That's going to sound great. So
could we just, before we move on to the next segment, could we just have a little bit of playing? And if I put the master volume on 0 here, with you can use this and the clean sound, but we'll just now DI, so people can get an idea of what this sounds like.
So this is my hedge. This is my hedge. If the speaker had sounded.
See, I think this is actually I've gone from being highly skeptical that this is the way to go to going, oh, you might be onto something here. Now, you see, I mean, I know probably a drive sound is more of a challenge for a DI kind of sound.
We'll get there.
But at this stage, I'm going, well, that sounds fine. And if you're, as long as the PA that you're playing with is not some ancient old 50-watt, as long as it's a proper PA, you're as loud as you want to be now, right?
Now, this is probably my bias to speaking, and I have the privilege of mainly playing gigs where there is a good PA system. So this is the hedge. I'm assuming there's a rig, and assuming there's an engineer. That's going to sound fine. And fine is the word here, because as we've already kind of established, the guitar sound, as long as it's within tolerances, as long as it's okay, it's not hurting people, and you can hear what's going on, that's a win. And everything beyond that is player preference. It's, do I like this? Can I play through this?
Yeah.
The audience aren't going to know.
Well, so let's second, your other essential pedal. Let's have a listen what this sounds like. So we'll go back to just hearing it through the amplifier now, and then we'll do the same sort of DI bit afterwards.
What I'll do for this as well, I'll show you the difference between the two channels on the Kraken.
Okay.
So what I'll play with here is I'm going to play the Super Kraken, and we'll use this as the big, heavy, riffy sound. And then I'll knock the channel switch on. I'll knock the effect switch on. This is going to bring the delay in, but it's also going to switch to the other clean channel. So the other clean channel, here's my clean as it is. I get to be like Andy from Pro Guitar Shop. But first, my clean tone. Now, that's not a huge difference on the clean, but it is going to make a profound difference to the way this sounds in a mix. So let's start with it off. This will be the rhythm sound. And then if we knock the reverbs a little bit, it is what it is.
Do you know what? That's because I turned it up. I apologize.
Oh, that's fine. No, we'll leave it.
Do you know what was really interesting as well was this amplifier on its high gain mode has this, I think I'm quite critical of most modelling amplifiers like this. It feels to me like you've got like a guitar sound here, and then you've got this like distorted guitar sound here, and it never quite feels as, I don't know, it just doesn't sound the same.
It's the magic trick. It doesn't do the magic trick.
Yeah, but the pedal into the clean sound on the amplifier brings it right to the forefront of the tone, and all of a sudden feels, it's really interesting.
It feels better to play too. It feels more dynamic under the fingers. I'll put some 10s on this guitar straight off the bat, because this feels a little light, but that's neither here nor there. We can live with that. That's fine. But let's take it from there into lead territory. So I'll kick the two switches on. We'll get a lead sound with delay and with mid push. So. and you can do all the heavy metal trickery.
I mean, staggered might be an exaggeration here, but I was not expecting tones like that to come out of an amplifier like that.
Yeah, well, that's why we have the pedals, because that's... So that was the thought process. So what I was thinking is, can I engineer... Okay, so
we need to hear that DI'd.
Sure, let's do it. Let's do it.
Literally could be just a real, like, 10
I'll
second.
retune it, because that country trickery
Oh, I
stuff,
see
that's
the
not
pen.
gonna...
I think that's... Do you know, again, in the interest of being as honest and critical as possible, I'm noticing when you're channel changing on the amplifier that it's doing this like that, which is a little bit annoying. And I guess...
cuts the delay off, which drives me crazy.
Right.
But
I guess, it's 250 quid, right? Have we got to sort of have a reality check here?
I can live with that. So the thought process with this, anyway, is I could have engineered that mid-range boost with a graphic EQ pedal.
Yep.
So
that would be another way to do it, right?
Let's do it, but I'd still need to spend £250 on the amp.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I need a clean amp anyway, so let's just get a clean amp that can do that and also has delay and also has an XLR out. So that's the thought process.
No, honestly, I'm with you so far. All right,
so,
now we're
these
into...
now we need to decide
now
on
we've
this
got
stuff.
sacrifices. So we're either basically... we haven't completely maxed out the budget yet, but right now you can't have anything else if you want that guitar.
Well, no, I can have the golden Plexi, and I
apologies.
That's it. I think
you might even be able to afford both of these.
I might be able to get this guy, because this is a wild card. I wouldn't normally reach for a phaser pedal. That's not like a must-have, but I think when I was pricing this up, I had like 50, 60 quid left.
So I tell you what,
I'm pretty sure I can have all three.
Why don't we? Yeah, that's very cheap, mate. Why don't we change the guitar now? Don't change it. Still stay with this and sort of go. Actually, you know what? Can I just not? Have I got to stick with that guitar?
Because this guitar's killer, and it sounds great.
Yeah,
and it's buttons.
And don't worry, we will try all the pedals with that guitar, because it's just a fun thing. The £1,000. If it really, if the best thing ever is actually £1,100, I'm sure everyone would try and find the extra £100.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'd be like, oh, my toe hurts as well. Can I have another £100?
So let's plug this Squier in, which is a dual humbucking affinity.
Yeah.
Here, let me take this from you.
Now, I won't lie to you guys. I picked this guitar. Don't lie. I won't lie. I picked this guitar because of the colour. So I was looking for a guitar that was kind of in that price range.
Yeah.
Something that was really quite difficult to find was a guitar with 2 humbuckers.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of strats, but I'm like, I need a neck humbucker.
Right.
Now, what this doesn't have is I don't think, the sparkly clean sound. I don't think. So I think the
Let's find out.
It's probably okay. It's probably fine.
So if I put through the amplifier now.
So if we put the Sky Surfer and the delay on, and maybe we'll go to the middle position. Oh, it's fine. That's great. Okay, so that's in a weird place, but.
So if it plays okay,
dude,
it looks cool.
Squier don't make bad guitars, man.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm erring towards this one is A, I love P90s, but B, I know this guitar because I've played this type of guitar a lot. This guitar is an unknown quantity, and it's kind of doing the goods, I'm into it.
So let's go gain and bridge and all that kind of stuff.
Let's do it. So we'll do the same tour. We'll do we'll do the dirty rhythm to lead sound. Let's see what it gives us. That's the wrong way up, but I could fix that. That's the work.
What's it doing?
So we go side to side, and I would have it up and down like a Les Paul.
I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be, or if just someone's tightened that up.
It's going to make me throw my pick at you.
Yeah, where did that go?
No. I've got plenty. It's fine. I've got a pocket full of picks. I don't have to buy picks on this budget, do I?
No.
That's fine.
No,
okay.
picks and cables and power supplies.
I assume they're in my pocket. That's fine. There we go.
Is.
Sweet. In case I need it. So, all right, let's do it. Let's see what this gives us. snag.
You've run out of
I'm like,
frets.
ships. I'm like, right. If someone can answer me this, there is plenty of room there for a 22nd fret. Why? Why would you ever not put 22 on?
It's just, isn't that just a traditional Fender thing? Right,
with the 22nd fret.
honestly, I think I mean, that to me is like, there you go.
But you know, I mean, like, dude, it has
let's
names
stay
on it.
with
I can get an E.
It sounds.
That's not an issue.
I actually think that's got a slightly raspier, gnarlier sound than this. This sounds a bit smoother.
I agree.
I quite like that
it.
though. You know, it's not bad.
I think a half hour with a screwdriver, and this would be like butter. It doesn't. It plays well enough. It doesn't play. This plays great, and this plays pretty well. But if I like the other noises enough, this might be it. This might be it.
I always think that setup conversation is like, you can't expect on a £200 guitar. No. I don't mean you personally. I just mean the world. They can't expect to have a 50 quid setup on it, because it's like, who's going to spend a quarter of the price of the guitar on a setup from the factory? Yeah. But honestly, the best £50 that you can spend, like, it won't be, I'm going to get a pedal as well, or, you know, it will just be get the guitar set up, because all of a sudden a £200 guitar plays like a £500 guitar, and anyway.
I don't like the Fuzz, I might have budget for a setup, but I do my own setup work anyway. Like,
well, I was about saying, if you do it yourself, then it's not £50, as it's free. So what do we want to try next? So should we shoot these two out?
Let's
see. Because this is either or, isn't it? This is not both.
So what this is for, these guys, they're not stacking pedals, this is the other sound. So what I would do is, if I had this on,
interesting,
and I was to go to the other sound, these would be next to each other.
Oh,
so
a 1 foot.
1 foot stomp.
So technically,
that's the idea, right? This is just having done it a lot.
Yeah, look.
So
who knew? Maybe that's another marketing angle for pedals with top mounted jacks.
Yeah, you can get them next to each other.
You can get the dual single. Anyway, right. Let's have a little listen.
Let's do this. So what
you've got this quite low gain, haven't you?
Yeah, well, that's the idea, because we have the high gain covered with the Kraken. If I need a little less, it cleans up. So this, you know, I can easily take this from here. But sometimes you want to go...
Do you know what? You instantly recognise the difference between the actual Kraken and is that as you did that on the volume, you'd get all this. It's not clearly quite. The pedal doesn't quite. It's not a valve thing, is it? It's almost like it comes down a little bit.
It's enough,
but it's not like quite what you're sort of hoping to achieve.
That's why I agree. I'm like, that's not it. That's really not it. Now, maybe on a guitar with the treble bleed, it might be different, or a different whatever.
Yeah, possibly.
That's one of. So I play fluences, and the volume control is very linear on there, so you can really get those fine adjustments on guitars like this. One of the things that you lose at this price point is the pots. Not that they sound bad, but they don't have the same taper. But that's fine, because, you know, we're surviving here and we have a Sheriff. So this will be the low gain sound. So what I'm hoping, I'll grab my slide in a second as well, because this is what I'd use if I was going to play some slide. So we might get, let's keep the delay off for now. Let's maybe turn the volume.
That's a great old school kind of English, British kind of sound, isn't it? Yes.
Let's get a little more bottom end, and maybe a little less in the mid, just so it's not, because we're going to get the solo sound on too. Because if I'm playing a blues, and I need solo, this is the sound. So if we're going here, now it's times like this when I reach over and I do the tap tempo, and I just like super quick to get a slap back.
I was
It's
just
the
about
wrong
to
way
say,
around.
And it was just doing that kind of natural feedback thing, and behaving very much like a sort of just a low gain, crunchy British kind of amp would
I agree.
sound.
And that is a sound that I need. And if I want this guitar,
Yeah, I
have
don't think
to get it with this.
I think the Golden Plexi's a bit full bore, but let's see. Let's see.
Cross your fingers. Let's give it the fair treatment. We'll do the same sounds.
Yeah.
And go like a riffy sound. Yeah. Can we get a bit less top end on that as well? That's night and day. It's not the same, is it?
It's not the same.
Let's give it a fair crack of the whip, though. Let's try the solo thing. See if it does
Okay.
that. We'll see. I actually don't hate it for the solo.
It's smooth.
It feels less smooth, but it sounds more smooth.
Right.
And that's the wrong way around. You want it to feel real
Interesting.
smooth, but sound like it has an edge on it, and it ain't it.
So it's decision time for you now, Mr. Nick. What's the pull? Is it the pull of the Sheriff and you have to stay with that guitar? Admittedly, we need to sort that switch out so that it's going up and down rather than
That's
side
quite
to side.
easy. Just take that off and turn it around. Yeah, that's nothing to it. I mean, I could probably brute force that.
Or
but
are we going, I want this guitar and I'm just not going to have that and I'm going to have that?
I feel like it's got to be the Sheriff. But the other flip side of this is if I take the Golden Plexi, I get to have a Fuzz.
Let me just do the calculation in my head though. So we think this is about 200. Is it 220?
230 something. 239, let's say.
Okay, so we got that and that is 490. Yeah, you're up to 990 with the two, aren't you? And you're borderline having to beg, borrow, steal.
That's true. I may have to.
Sky
Yeah, it's a good point. And I need the Sky Surfer. So that is a tough call. It's a tough call. I think because these come to 400 together.
Yeah.
So I think 200, 400. Let's call these two 500 together. That gives me 900.
Oh, yeah, have I done my maths badly
less
wrong?
than
haven't
900.
I?
Yeah, less
yes,
than
I've done my maths
so
completely
I
badly
can
wrong.
have the Fuzz either
Yes.
way. Oh, I think we've got a winner. So I can have the Fuzz either way. Let's put the Fuzz on. Now, the Fuzz is going to be set up. This is a fun thing that I like to do. So I mentioned before how I have to have a green ring it. I have to have, and like Oz behind the camera was like, yeah! And I'm like, yeah, dude, I agree. I forgive you for standing on my glasses now. I agree. I agree.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, man. So, any reports of a grievous crash on the M1 on the way home, it was me.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause,
That'll be Oz's £1,000
This is the
whiplash
Nick
claim.
Jennison. Yeah, that's it, for sure. I'll definitely get the Sheriff if I... Yeah, so that's where the extra 100 quid's going to come from. So we're going to set this up as an octave Fuzz, and there's definitely a mode on this, but I'm going to set it up so there's very little gain, and it basically sounds terrible.
All right.
It's going to spit, and it's going to be awful. So what we're looking for is something along these lines. So there's a mode switch. One of those will do an octave. That's the one. Is there what controls do we have there? Do we have
Fuzz,
a treble?
tone, and level.
Let's turn the tone control down a bit. So that's the sound. So what this will be if I ever have to make a broken noise. So
Okay.
it's intros, outros, weird, like crazy sounds. If we take that off, it's not quite as broken as I'd like.
Could we use? Well, I've
Well,
got less fuzz, which might make it.
that's the next step. So you're absolutely right. We could do that, but we're going to stack that into the other pedals, and this is going to be my character lead sound. So if I
Okay.
need a fuzz, this may do the trick. I don't know. We'll find out. which is the big fuzzy riff sound.
I kind of like that.
Oh, I'm into it, man. Yeah, that's what I'd use a green ringer for, but I'd also run it into the Kraken for like messy, noisy lead sounds. So you might get stuff like this. Oh! Sold.
I must admit, I am, and you know what the interesting thing is here? Despite the fact that you probably spent more money on pedals than any of the other guests we've had so far on this, what you've ultimately ended up doing is the cheapest part of the rig is the guitar.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? How it's so counterintuitive, and yet every guitar player that we've gone, come on, you've got £1,000 to put a gigging rig together.
What's it going to be?
Just ends up with the cheapest guitar they can get away with because, and this is the message I think we're trying to get, the tone, like the sound, the sense that the audience goes, oh yeah, that sounds good or not, is always the amp and the pedals.
It's in the gain stages.
You know.
Well, you know, the play helps for sure, but like the gain stages are where it's at. So it's been my philosophy for a while, which is why you'll notice that the channel switch we made a huge difference with the gain sounds, but made very little difference on the clean. So I have this weird thing where the cleaner you are, the more things towards this end of the signal chain matter. And then the dirtier you get, the more things towards this end of the signal chain start to matter. So the guitar, as long as the guitar plays and it doesn't feed back egregiously unless you want it to, it stays in tune. It's not going to hurt you. You can play the stuff that you want to play on it. It looks okay. It's not like a big penis-shaped guitar or something dumb like that or whatever.
We do need to just either include or eliminate this. I mean, cost-wise, we might not be able to include it, but we need to hear it.
But we need to hear it.
What's the what would be the setup? Is it this and this, or this and this? Or?
Well, we can't have this and this, unfortunately. But what I would do with this is this would be the wobble pedal,
right?
So
because there's wobble in here.
But I need that to be delayed.
Ah, but that's right, yes.
This is the reason why I've chosen this over something like a Katana, is because, the Katana has all these features, but I need to get at it with my feet, because we're gigging. I can't reach over and go, bosh. What I can do is I can reach over and tap the delay time, because that's going to be constant for the song I'm playing. If I'm playing a country track, or I'm playing a 12-bar, I don't want the long ambient delay. I can reach over and tap it real quick and get a slap back. If I'm playing a longer thing, I can reach over and tap and get a long delay that's in time. That's fine. But like switching modulation effects, that means I can't get a delay, and they're in the wrong place. Modulation goes, with the exception of tremolo and rotary, in my opinion, modulation goes in front of the gain.
Yeah, we're relatively sure on the Catalyst that it's all post preamp, isn't it, on the modulation? And I don't think you can switch it.
But even
could be wrong.
But the thing is, though, even if it wasn't, because we're getting the gain from the pedals, you can't take the modulation from the Catalyst and get it in front of these pedals anyway, because physics, it's in the amp. So even if it were before the amp, it's no good to us because we're getting the gain from these pedals. So
let's hear it. Should we hear it clean for the time?
So this is the phaser thing. So I would use this in a few different ways. And this is one where I'd be reaching down and fiddling knobs. So, so what I get for this is 3 sounds I'm looking for. I'm looking for a bit of a swoosh on an ambient clean, which is fun, but it's not something I always go to. I'm looking for the Van Halen phaser sound.
Right.
And I'm looking for a pseudo univibe, which you can get out of a phase 90 if you crank the it's not quite there. This is a Soren Anderson trick.
Right.
So you get the phase 90, you crank the rate control, pop that on, and it will pass for a univibe in a live setting. It won't pass for a univibe in the studio because it doesn't go wum 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 wum. But it's close enough. So if you're bluffing Hendrix, you've got this into this.
Well, I've started off with relatively low depth and low rate, so I'm guessing that's your sort of subtle...
That'll be either the subtle swoosh or the Van Halen thing. So let's take a listen to it. Let's assume this is the swoosh on an ambient clean. So maybe we'd get this. Let's maybe get a little more rate,
depth,
I think,
rate.
Just a little faster. we might not even need the Sky Surfer. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope, sounds fine to me.
Next thing we need, I mean, it's passable, but that's the sound I'm least likely to use out of all of these. There may be an occasion where, you know, maybe there's a funk track, and I want some of that. That's unlikely to do that because I haven't got a compressor.
Yeah.
So, and it's a bit spiky, as you can hear.
Yeah.
Even with a reasonably controlled right hand, which I don't have. But, you know, even still. So, let's put it into the Sheriff and see if we can get the Van Halen thing.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no, that's silly because we can't use the Sheriff. So, let's put it into the Kraken. Ah! Wow! Thanks.
Is that
Thanks.
doing
Is
that?
it?
No.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, we've hit a snag. Wait a minute.
So that's interesting. So that neck pickup is pretty microphonic, isn't it? Which again is an issue that you're going to get on more affordable guitars.
Now, that's fine if the bridge pickup is not microphonic, because the neck pickup, I'm only on the neck pickup on high gain sounds for a solo. And I can be ninja-like on the volume for that. But
Nick.
if I'm playing rhythm sounds, it's fine, because I can, you know, if the bridge pickup's okay, we can go. Check. It does that.
That is possible Van Halen.
It's close enough, isn't it? And
Yeah.
that's a fun sound because, you know, there'll be times when you want that when you're riffing as well. Maybe you'll want like a filtered wah thing. It's an easy way to get it. If I have a wah, I always forget to touch it anyway because I'm never at my pedal board. So the other flip side of it is, will it do the pseudo univibe? So that should be, if we crank it, oh,
This might go mad. I have
Keep
no
the
idea.
Feedback low. Let's check it out. It'll make it sound like digestive
Try
rumblings.
keep going.
Maybe take the feedback down. What's the other control?
Depth. The big one is rate, and then the small one is depth.
The rate, if we can get that a tiny bit faster, and then if we can get the depth down about halfway, maybe a tiny bit less. Ooh, that might be it. Let's put the Kraken on. Let's see what it.
Do you know what?
It's
Nick,
noisy, but it's close enough.
I'm going to do you a deal. I'm going to do you a deal here because Andertons probably would do the deal here. I genuinely think we're not that far over the £1,000 with everything except the golden Plexi, as long as you take that guitar. We're maybe, I think, 50 quid over.
I
like
reckon
that.
I could live with that. And I think the microphonic thing, I think if I was further away from the amp, it wouldn't be such a big deal.
We're right on top of the amp. It's quite loud in here. I agree. I think you, and you know, I honestly, I think that's, you know, and feedback's cool, right? In a gig,
so.
like, who cares a bit of feedback?
I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, if there's no noise, how will they know you're dangerous? And I'm like, well, I'm not dangerous, but that's fine.
So, well, look,
so the rainbow of tones we got before we go, just to sum up. So we have clean but louder. We have ambient clean in various degrees. We have ambient clean with swirl. We have broken sounds with the fuzz. We have Marshally sounds. We have Van Halen sounds. We have Hendrixy sounds. We have big rhythm sounds, big lead sounds, 2 different volumes, delay. We have an XLR out. Dude, like, that's not a million miles away from my actual rig.
I was about to say, hang on a second, maybe this is the new rig. I mean,
sure.
Do you know what? It's a job well done. It's a different take on where other people have gone with the £1,000, but you know what? it's working, and that's all that matters.
Hooray.
Look, let's just go on then. Just so dial yourself in, your favourite sound, play us out. And anyway, look, Nick's going to hang around for the rest of the day, so you'll probably see 1 or 2 more videos on Andertons TV with me and Nick over the next month or so. Might delve into some Yngwie Malmsteen, as I know that's a big favourite of yours.
Like
and we're
Yngwie.
certainly going to sort of perhaps deep dive into some of the Kraken stuff. But anyway, look,
Gotcha.
for now,
Let's do-
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
£1,000
I feel like we've
well
won.
spent.
Let's
Yes.
do a tour of the tones. Let's see if we can get how many of them we can get in one take.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Good
Who needs
job.
22 frets?
Good job. I just got to do bigger bends, haven't you?
That's it, man.
Right,
Just bend
that's it. Thank you
See
very
you
much
later.
for watching. Thank you, Nick. We shall see you in a video soon. Au revoir.